Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. Thank you for joining us. We're learning more tonight about the man who was killed in a shooting that injured 4 other people in Etobicoke over the weekend. It happened in a high school parking lot, and police have now identified the victim as 61-year-old Delroy George Parks from Woodstock. Today, we heard from his grieving family as the investigation into what happened continues. Greg Ross has more.
They're still in shock after the senseless shooting of their husband and father, who they referred to as George Parks. They were able to confirm to us today that Parks was here on Sunday evening with a group of friends to play soccer, and then afterwards, something that they would regularly do is gather here in this parking lot at North Albion High School to socialize. And it's unclear to the family why 2 men pulled up in a dark-colored pickup truck, dressed in dark clothing, and opened fire on the group of men that were here that night. Today, Heather Parks, the wife of George Parks, described this horrific moment that night when she received a call from a family friend who was here the night of the shooting. And he attempted to put her on the phone with her husband as emergency crews were trying to save his life. Here's how she described that phone call.
I never got to talk to him personally, but you could hear him in the background saying he wasn't going to make it. All I could hear in the background was him moaning.
She listened to the last moments of her husband's life. She has no idea why anybody would attack her husband this way. Today, her message to her husband's killer was this.
You're damn right I want justice. Our world was taken from us for no reason. No reason. So yeah, I want justice. You don't know what you've done to us. You have no idea what you've done to us and what you're putting us through.
I was also able to speak to George Parks' 22-year-old daughter, Jaden Parks. Today, she had to go to a funeral home to help make arrangements to lay her father to rest. Today, she told me that he was her best friend.
My dad was my world. He was my bestest friend after my mom. I was with him all the time. He was retired, he was at home, he just kept himself busy around the house, gardening, building stuff. You're assassinating random, good, hardworking people, fathers, grandfathers. My father, he loved his children, he loved his grandchildren, he loved his wife. He was dedicated to his family, to his home. He didn't hurt anybody, he loved everybody. And that breaks my heart. That was my mom's best friend. If you knew my parents, they were freaking frack. They went everywhere together. They worked together. You didn't see my dad without my mom. We didn't imagine my dad to go this early. If you knew him, he was all about his health. He played soccer every day, and he was so proud that he was just like one of the young guys. I'm graduating university actually this Tuesday. I'm his first child to graduate university, and he won't be able to see me. But I'm gonna walk that stage and honor him and do it for my dad, because that's what he would want.
She couldn't stress to us enough just how good her father was. In fact, she told us that her father would want her to forgive his killers. And she says that she's prepared to do that for him, but she still wants them to face justice. At this point, police have not released any information about potential suspects in this shooting. We do know that there has been a video that has been circulating that shows police in a chase on Sunday evening with a dark-colored pickup truck. In that video, you see that pickup truck crash. 2 men get out of the pickup truck, and there is a foot chase with police. At this point, police are not confirming that chase had anything to do with this shooting. They are still appealing to the public for help in finding suspects in this shooting.
That was our Greg Ross reporting. Now, meantime, disability advocates are pushing the province to act after the death of a vulnerable 16-year-old boy who they say was left alone at school. The advocates spoke at the legislature today and brought a heartbreaking message from the boy's mother. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has more.
Happy birthday to you.
Landon Ferris was 16 years old and died May 14th. He had Dravet syndrome, a form of epilepsy that causes seizures, including during his sleep. His mom even slept with him at night. He wasn't to be left alone. Today, disability advocates shared a letter from his mom, Brenda Davis, who said she rushed to the school that day after receiving a text that there was an emergency.
I walked into the classroom to find my son on a stretcher, receiving CPR. His hand hanging to the side, fingers already blue.
His mother's lawyer has said she was told her son had been in a sensory room or quiet room, then found when someone went to check on him. Here's more of the message she shared.
We used to pick flowers together. Now I leave them at his grave. I'm broken. My boy is gone. His laugh is a memory. His light snuffed out too soon. I will forever be haunted.
It's unknown what caused Landon's death. The school board is investigating, so is the coroner's office, assisted by the OPP. Advocates point to long-standing issues with not enough staff for students with special needs.
Parents should be able to send them to school without worrying that they may not come home at the end of the day.
The Minister of Education says they've hired 3,500 more educational assistants. Disability advocates also want province-wide standards for sensory rooms. One of the advocates was part of a government-appointed committee that recommended that more than 2 years ago.
There need to be safeguards having regard to the reasons for placing them there, the duration they'll be placed there, and the oversight that will be taking place there.
There's an expectation that all school boards in Ontario have a protocol. They are expected to follow it.
But different school boards can have different protocols. The minister says if the investigations recommend stronger protocols, the government will follow that advice. He also hopes the investigations will be made public.
Families and staff need to have confidence that when their kids are in schools, they're safe. And so transparency, I think, is really fundamental.
The concerns by those supporting Landon's family is that these investigations can take a long time. They want the family to have answers soon about what really happened. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Grassy Narrows First Nation in Northern Ontario is launching a lawsuit against the province and the federal government. The legal action follows a report commissioned by the First Nation last month. That report found health dangers caused by tons of mercury in local waterways is not just historic, but ongoing.
Impetus for this lawsuit is the latest shocking revelation that the Crown has allowed this mill to continue to contaminate the environment.
Our way of life has been destroyed. It's very difficult living under these circumstances, but we continue, and we will continue. We're not going to give up.
Contamination of the river system dates back to the 1960s when a paper mill dumped an estimated 9 tons of mercury into the water. The pollutants then got into the fish and then the people. After the press conference today, the chief and his lawyer marched to Queen's Park demanding to speak with the premier, even planning to serve him in person.
No subpoenas from any part of the city can be entered into.
Can you ask Premier Doug Ford to come outside and meet us?
You can contact his office. I can get you the numbers for that. I don't work for Doug Ford, and Doug doesn't work for me.
In response, the Ontario government has said it has contributed $85 million for safety studies and is working with the community to clean up the contamination. The federal government, meantime, says it has committed more than $140 million for a mercury care home to help those who have been poisoned. But people who live on Grassy Narrows say that's not enough. Earlier, I spoke with an elder on the First Nation, Judy De Silva, who says she is living with the effects of mercury poisoning.
The reason why it's important is we're suing the government for poisoning us, and we needed to voice the reason why we're suing them is because we've been suffering for so long with this poison, and it's about time. Like 1960 to 2024, that's really long, for us to suffer.
What does the suffering from the mercury poisoning look like for you personally?
For me personally, it's loss of coordination and a hard time to swallow, and just general loss of sensation in my feet and my hands, and some people also suffer tunnel vision. That's where they only see in the center, and just in the Dr. Donna Mergler's report, she said that we're a faster dying population, and also higher suicidal tendencies. So it's really, really bad poisoning.
What are you hoping that the lawsuit is going to be able to do for you and your community?
We're hoping, well, first of all, it's like our way of life has been totally destroyed. Like, our people were proud fishermen and, land users and hunters, and then this poison came and took all that away, and our social and economical fabrics have been broken. Yeah.
Do you think this ever could have happened on a different kind of watershed?
I think as Indigenous people, we are always in the front of pollution. We're always first contact for pollution, and for any other community, like when you think of Walkerton and how their poisoning got addressed so quickly and they got compensated so quickly, and then Grassy's been going through this for decades and still there's no resolution. So I think it's environmental racism.
Where did she go?
Welcome back. Toronto has been ranked the costliest city for auto theft claims in Ontario, and that is according to a new report from the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Last year, the city saw more than $350 million in claims. That's a 524% jump since 2018. Tyler Cheese has more.
We're already seeing insurers asking people that have vehicles at a higher risk to do more to keep their cars safe, to equip it with various prevention materials.
It's not just Toronto. Brampton, Mississauga, Vaughan, and Markham are also in the top 5 costliest cities for auto theft claims. And experts aren't surprised by the numbers.
A lot of the vehicles that are being stolen are cars that are relatively new, so that when cars are being written off, they're almost at full value. A lot of times you'd have a situation when you're in an accident, cars are at various different values. And here you're talking almost at the entire purchase price, so that cars are being written off at a much more expensive rate.
He says the consistency of auto theft crime in the province has put a lot of strain on the insurance industry.
That's happening every day all across the country with no end in sight. So it's like a catastrophic event happening every day of the year. And there's only so far that the insurance industry and insurers can go before consumers have to pay more.
While a lot of work has already gone into reducing theft numbers, those who actively work on the problem say there's more to be done.
Providing law enforcement and their partners with the funding that they need, including the CBSA, working with our international partners, and making the vehicle harder to steal.
He also says not much will change unless the organized crime groups at the heart of the issue are held responsible.
This is all about money. This is not just a victimless crime. This is not just a property crime. This is organized groups that are using the vehicle as a commodity, and they're funding their criminal operations from it.
He's hopeful the federal government's new action plan on combating auto theft will yield positive results sooner than later. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
A teen girl charged in the death of a homeless man in Toronto, downtown Toronto, has pleaded guilty to assault causing bodily harm and assault with a weapon. 8 girls between the ages of 13 and 16 were initially charged with second-degree murder in the death of Kenneth Lee. A judge recently committed 6 of the teens to stand trial for second-degree murder and 2 to the lesser charge of manslaughter. Police allege Lee died after he was swarmed and stabbed by a group of girls in December 2022. To Brampton now, where 3 men are on trial for first-degree murder and multiple counts of attempted murder. In May 2021, a gunman opened fire on a family at their Mississauga takeout restaurant, killing the son and injuring 4 others. Today, a key witness testified that the accused told him that they were behind the attack and pressured him to pledge allegiance to ISIS. Olivia Bowden has more.
Today in court, the Crown called witness Michaela Rass, who says he became acquaintances with the accused by attending the same mosque in the GTA. But he says that acquaintanceship turned dark after the 3 men allegedly confessed to killing Naeem Akal and shooting his entire family. And they say it was a sacrifice they had to make in order to get into heaven. Aras says it was just a week or so before the shooting when Akash Abbasi called him and asked Aras if Anand Nath could stay at his bachelor apartment with him. Anand Nath, Solomon Raza, and Akash Abbasi have pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted murder. The Crown says Nath was the sole shooter, while Raza drove the getaway vehicle and Abbasi planned the attack. It's alleged the men went after their co-worker Naeem Akal and his family, as Akal was planning to go to the police about their ties to ISIS.
Come on in, let me show you what's going on.
They all worked at an Amazon resale business out of a warehouse run by Abbasi. So far, the court has heard that Naeem Akal quit the business not long before the shooting, which Abbasi was furious about. There is a publication ban on Aras's current appearance. He says he allowed Nath to stay with him in the days before the shooting, as he seemed down on his luck and he wanted to help. Nath, Raza, and Abbasi invited him for prayers at their Amazon warehouse office the weekend of the shooting. Aras had recently reconnected with his faith as a Muslim. He says he was at the warehouse the evening of the shooting. Nath and Raza went to an unknown location in a green Honda Accord, the same one seen speeding away from Chicken Land after the shooting. When they returned, he says Nath came out of the car's trunk, looking stressed out. He also changed his clothes. Aras asked what happened, but they wouldn't tell him. That night, Nath had trouble sleeping, waking up in a cold sweat. 2 days later, Aras was called to the Amazon warehouse, as the men promised they'd tell him what happened. They had him pledge allegiance to a leader of the Islamic State. Then they confessed to being behind the Chicken Land attack. Aras says that Abbasi said Anand got sent out on a mission to slaughter Naeem. Aras says Nath described the attack in detail. He shot at a little girl because she was screaming, and then the mother. He said he shot the delivery driver and ran back to the car. He saw a guy walking the dog, said he was going to kill him, but decided to get in the trunk and drive away. Aras also says that he was told the gun used in the shooting was taken to a park and buried. He decided to turn all 3 men into the police. Witness testimony will continue Thursday. Olivia Bowden, CBC News, Brampton.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has won a third 5-year term in office. And here at home, the GTA's sizable Indian diaspora is reacting to the results. For some, Modi's government has created stable economic conditions and investment opportunities. But for others, his time in office has been marred by division. Dale Manukduk brings us this local reaction.
Crowds in India were glued to election results pouring in. Those in the GTA were locked in as well.
We're seeing, in many ways, a rejection of this extreme right-wing politic.
Former MPP Guratan Singh says the results send a clear message, with the opposition gaining seats, stripping Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party of the majority it was able to win on its own the last 2 elections.
There's still, of course, issues with the opposition as well, and overall with the state of democracy in India as a whole on either side. But there is still something to say that there is definitely a loss to I would say, the right-wing movement globally in Modi's inability to secure a majority right now.
But Modi will still govern with the support of allies, and according to the Canadian Hindu Chamber of Commerce, that's a big win for Canadians. Since Modi took office in 2014, foreign domestic investment has jumped significantly.
It's grown from $36 billion to nearly $70 to $80 billion to foreign direct investment. And India has become a great place to do business. We've seen the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, invest $300 million in India's National Highway Trust Fund.
And even though Modi will have a strong opposition, it's unlikely they'll get in the way of his economic policies.
I don't think any opposition will try to chart a different course. But I think a lot of what the opposition's gains are a lot to do with a lot of other factors in the country.
More likely to happen is pushback to what his critics describe as Hindu-first politics.
He's been playing the populist playbook, which is demonizing minorities, really strengthening the North Indian Hindu heartland, and creating this boogeyman within the country of Muslims and Sikhs and Christians and anybody who doesn't follow into this narrow definition of what an Indian citizen should be according to right-wing Hindutva forces.
For now, that government remains in power, albeit less, after voters made their voices heard. Dale Manukduk, CBC News.
Muggy night, but another beautiful day today if you like it hot. And Victor, I know that you are one of those people, my friend.
Chris, you are right. It was that kind of a day today that, you know what, it may be a good day to wear a bit of shorts with your suit because it was around 30 degrees, feeling like around 33. It's almost like as if I was in another capital wearing myself a short and blazer combo. Now, as we do look at what else is in store for some headlines, we can see that it is going to be those south winds, which will continue. Those south winds will also be a big contributing factor to why it's going to be around 22 degrees, feeling like 25 when that Jays game's done. But we do know we're expecting some thunder showers to pass by. Now, we are expecting things to cool down as we get in towards the weekend. And what I mean by cooling down is because we're going to be closer to seasonal, if not below. But what are average temperatures for this time of year? Which is a very great question. Now, our average high for this time of year is 22.1, and our average low is 10.2. So when you see daytime highs which are lower than 22 or lows which are closer to 10 degrees, it's safe to say we're trending back to seasonal temperatures, if not just a touch below. Now, looking at trends across North America, we can see that a lot of areas such as BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba are experiencing more seasonal-like temperatures. But for areas such as us here in the southern of Ontario, well, we're experiencing a lot more, well, above seasonal temperatures. But when are we going to get that relief? When are we going to get that break? Because when you look at tomorrow morning, what's the temperatures going to be? Well, it's going to be 19 degrees. It's going to be a hot start to our day. And by the time your little ones get home from school, it's going to be 26 because some areas will receive a bit of rain. Some areas might not get a bit of rain. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, it's because it's called scattered showers. And here's what scattered showers look like when they're actually happening. We're going to see more increased cloud cover as we get later on into our day. And right around midday, you're going to see if that scattered showers pass by. You see some pockets get a bit of rain, some pockets get a little, and some pockets don't get anything, just an increased cloud cover. So some areas might be still warm. But this big system here, which is bringing those thunder showers, will be passing by more overnight Wednesday into Thursday. And Thursday is going to be another day where you see it's going to be consistent scattered showers. And those consistent scattered showers are going to be a big theme for this week because if you see Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, here they are. Another thing to note, well, you can see the temperature trend as temperatures drop, as cooler days are ahead. Hope you have yourselves a great night. Over to you, Chris.
All right, enjoy the heat while it lasts. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.